says that when he engaged Kat Mathale, he said that the minister had approached him to finance his presidency or his deputy presidency for the African National Congress. Did that surprise you, that that's what happens, where we approach, within the political space, we approach business people, corporates or whatever to finance political leadership contestation?
Well, look, the ANC, the other comments that you made, that I'm a veteran and experienced on government committee things, no, I'm not. I think I'm learning, and one day probably I will become experienced, and I will
be not knowing who is running your health department.
No, I'm saying
health screening.
I'm saying the day I become what you say I am,
the minister
is still coming. In the ANC, you have people the ANC have got an approach on what to do and what not to do and how to do what you want to do. And there are individuals in the organization who choose to position themselves and doing anything that they think can make them arrive where they want to arrive. When it emerges that so-and-so has done this and that, some of the things unthinkable, fortunately, I was fortunate enough to have worked with men and women who taught me the working of the organization and also prepared me not to be shocked when certain individuals do things that are an ANC. It doesn't matter who they are, even if the person is a president of the organization. If they act in a manner that is not in sync with the organization, I don't get shocked. I understand, it's possible that a person can betray the cause, because our cause, it's very complex, very difficult, very long. We are here today because of the challenges and the dynamics of the liberation struggle itself. You will have individuals from time to time who get compromised or who are part of the machinery, but they are there to serve a cause that has got nothing to do with the liberation struggle. They are being handled by other people. And at the right time, they make them do things that reverses the gain that we might have made at any given stage. So when such things happen, you must know it's possible it can happen. Don't lose hope on the cause, because things like this will happen. And it has happened many a times where
like people
people close to you were working with, they betray you. It has happened to me. I was detained and I got expelled from college, and when I was challenging that expulsion, we were given affidavit, and as we were going through the affidavit, I found one of the people who was an activist from the college, who has explained everything under the sun that betrayed the cause.
About his
but
things.
we didn't get despondent. We understood that and said it can happen.
I get you, DM.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that when people do things they are not supposed to do, and it emerges that it has happened, they are not angels. They are human beings.
So that brings us back to the CR17 and sealed bank statements.
Yeah.
Because we've used state institutions to also hide what's on there. And this seemed that what was going on, and if it is indeed true, that we have political parties accessing businesses, whether it's through those that are having big tenders, corporates, or whatever it is, to fund their positions in leadership positions in political parties, then they come and they use the state institutions to seal that, so we don't even see what's going on. Thank you, Deputy Minister. Oh, one more question, just one more, Chair. You said that one of the things you will do if you are appointed minister is start the lifestyle audits. Let's even leave lifestyle audits alone, DM. We have a problem with just vetting a lousy 600 officials that require vetting in SAPS. How is it that our National Commissioner is failing to do that? He came here and he told us he's starting the whole vetting process, but since I've joined this committee and I've read reports from even our officials in SAPS are not being vetted. There's about 600 that require vetting. How can you run a country if you cannot ensure that crime intelligence can vet 600 people?
I think that's one of the things that needs to be done to ensure that
But
that
that's
happens.
not answering the question. Why are we failing on something that basic? And you're saying that it's functioning, that SAPS is functioning, and there's just elements that is a problem. That's huge. It's not an element. It's in the highest structure, 600 officials right now. We don't know how many of them have security clearance and they're occupying positions.
That is a shortcoming that needs to be addressed, and it will be addressed.
You are being such a politician, DM. Shortcomings, it's a disaster. The ANC is failing South Africans. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mathale. Honorable Mwango.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Good afternoon, Honorable Deputy Minister.
Afternoon, sir.
We are constrained, we have time constraint today, so I don't have a lot of questions to ask. But I just want to say that it's amazing that after a year of your appointment, Honorable Deputy Minister, you still do not have a job description. And you are just not alone. You are two of you as Deputy Ministers. I think that is a cause for great concern, not only to us, but even to South Africans. However, I do want to take you to page 6 of your evidence in chief, where you were discussing the role of the Deputy Minister and looking at also the constitutional mandate of the Deputy Minister. But on paragraph 11, there is a telling comment that you are making there, where you are saying, and I quote, the interface between the executive oversight and operational authority within SAPS is constitutionally significant and institutionally delicate. I would invite the Honourable Minister to a little bit expand on that and just unpack for us, what do you mean? What is delicate about what you are actually saying here?
As I thank you, Honourable, thank you through you, Chair. As I explained earlier when I was talking about the interface between the executive authority and the accounting officer, there is a thin line that draws the distinction. And I said that their relationship is dialectical in the sense that the minister gives policy and issues directives. But this does not necessarily mean that it's a one-way flow from the minister to the national commissioner. The two persons need each other, and they should interact in a manner that strengthen their responsibilities or makes them to become more efficient by working together, consulting each other. It be normal for, it must be a practice that when you see a national commissioner knocking at the minister's office or vice versa, it should not be ufuna anilo. It must go without saying that, every week or in 2 weeks, in 2 times a week or 3 times a week, the national commissioner or the minister will be visiting the National Commissioner's Office and vice versa, and they will be interacting on any matter that have to do with policing. If you master that, which the Constitution that just says that it gives the minister develop policy and give directives, it ends there. It doesn't say the minister must see the commissioner every week or every fortnight or every month, but practically, the two must interact in such a manner that there is nothing that they don't talk about. It must not happen that you find a situation wherein the two can meet, whether in a funeral or a social occasion or anywhere, and there are issues that they need to deal with and they don't deal with them and they surprise each other. It mustn't happen. The matter that I think we have not mastered very well as a country, even though we are becoming better from experience, is how the two interface. If I'm appointed a minister or I'm given a responsibility of a government entity, when I arrive there, suddenly everybody who is there must be moved somewhere. I must bring new people because I can't interact with the person that I find in there. And in most cases, you don't have continuity in terms of those who were running that institution before you came. And all you need when you go in there, yes, you have got this executive authority, but you have it within a context of an accounting officer and vice versa.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. On page 9 of your evidence in chief, paragraph 20, you are actually saying, excuse me, if I may quote you, Minister Mkunu's approach was to allocate tasks as and when issues arise. This ad hoc approach has its benefits and disadvantages. Can you also elaborate a little on what are the benefits, what are the disadvantages of this approach?
Of having issues clarified earlier in the day, they are huge. But when you don't do that and you act as and when issues arises, you have difficulties. Difficulties that makes honorable members to persistently raise the questions they have raised about this non-delegation of responsibilities. It's not ideal. It's not good. It affects everybody, and even the staff in the office gets affected. They raise issues. My head of my office have been raising issues with me around these issues because they affect how they do things or how they have been doing things before. So the sooner a matter of this nature is resolved, the better. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. I know that the issue of factionalism has been actually discussed quite extensively, but I can't help but also go back to it myself because I'm not satisfied with the position that you have adopted on this matter. Because you state in your evidence, Honorable Deputy Minister, that, and I quote, you are not aware of any factionalism in the police services, and unquote. Yet, in the same breath, acknowledge that members, and I quote, appear to struggle to work together, unquote. And that there are, and I quote, elements who still defend apartheid system, unquote. How do you reconcile this contradiction? And would you actually agree that systemic mistrust, internal resistance, and parallel loyalties within SAPS are by definition markers of factionalism?
Not necessarily. Differences of opinion will never translate into a faction. When I spoke about the integration process, about those who served apartheid and those who were part of the non-statutory, in '94, when police integrated, we integrated police officers from the central government, from the Bantustans, the independent states, and non-statutory forces. By now, we're supposed to have concluded that process. But as we speak, Chair, we have the non-statutory project that has not been concluded. We are in court now by Solidarity. We won the case, even though the judgment came almost after a year after the hearing. And when we were supposed to move on to implement, the matter was appealed. And we are in 2025. We have not concluded that process. That is a problem. But it's a problem that we are bound to encounter given where we come from. But the reason why I feel strongly that we don't have factions is because the issues that you have raised, Honorable Member, the differences that you're speaking about, the issues that were flagged of criminal elements influencing the police, I don't characterize those as factionalism in SAPS. It's the fact that there are people who have been able to influence certain members in SAPS to work with them to do wrong things. But that we can't characterize that as factions in policing. These are elements that must be rooted out of the system. SAPS must be cleansed of these elements. We must not, for a moment, come to say those who are honest policemen, as Honourable Member from the Democratic Alliance have said, those honourable members, those good police members, we must never categorize them as belonging to a faction. That belongs to an institution, is SAPS. And those elements, we must always characterize them as elements that must be rooted out.
But, Honourable Deputy Minister, it's 31 years after 1994.
Yeah.
Surely some of those elements that actually were integrated in 1994, most of them should be out on pension. So you could be talking about a small fringe of those elements, which cannot actually, muddy the waters, as it were, of the SAPS as an entire organization.
No, I'm not saying that those who came from the security branch, who have come into crime intelligence, they are the majority of the officers that are there. No. The impact that they have on the transformation project is not small. They might be small, but the impact it's huge, including the criminal elements. If criminals have been able to infiltrate the police and they engage in activities that are criminal, the things that they do have a huge impact. They might be small, but they do things that damage the image of police. When they say police are engaged in criminal activities, they are aggregating the police in general, including good police officers are viewed as men and women in blue who are involved in criminal activities. This means even those who are honest police officers are viewed that way. So the impact of these people is is huge, and they always set us a step backward.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. General Mkwanazi has alleged that, and I quote him, sophisticated criminal syndicate has infiltrated law enforcement and intelligence structures. As Deputy Minister, what is your assessment of these claims? Has the ministry launched or supported any independent investigation into this? And now, and also, how do you differentiate between criminal elements and factional networks within and when their impact on command integrity essentially actually is aimed at eroding the trust and operational and bringing about operational paralysis in the organization?
I think the process that Parliament has started through the ad hoc committee will assist in dealing with this phenomenon that we're faced with. And of course, the legislature has started this process, and the executive have also initiated a process that is led by Madlanga, and your process is led by the chair, Honorable Lekhanyan. The ad hoc committee's work and what they are going to recommend will help us to deal with this challenge. Equally, the Madlanga processes, as it concludes, because the issues that are also raised at that platform are going to assist us to address this threat that have been put before us. This forum in particular is not necessarily a forum of looking for wrongdoing. It is also a forum looking at what needs to be done, how best can we do this. That's why your terms of reference and the issues that through your evidence, leader, you have asked us to do and to put. And there is an attempt in my presentation, for instance, to deal with the specific issues that have been raised, but also what we think needs to be done going forward. For instance, on the issue of that you have raised with other members on the delegation of responsibilities as outlined by the Constitution, there are specific recommendations that one has made in this regard, which I believe will assist us going forward. For instance, we said that this means that the President, as the appointing authority, that is page 6 of 10, as the appointing authority and the minister to whom a deputy minister has been assigned must specify the powers and functions of the deputy minister. This is just but one example. There are other recommendations that one has made, and I believe the other witnesses that have appeared before you, they have also attempted to make their recommendation, which the committee, as you conclude your report, will take into consideration the issues that were flagged there, and this will then assist us to become better people. Thank you.
My second last question, Honorable Deputy Minister, is just if you were a minister, how would you actually handle the whole matter of the disbandment of the PKTT, Honorable Mathale?
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. Thanks for that difficult question.
Just to remind you, Honorable Nomvalo had asked that question. Is it your intention to repeat it? The question that you have just asked, he had asked it before.
Well, I'm asking it in my own way. Yeah, thank you.
The same words in the same sequence have been used. So, look, there is no problem. If you want to repeat the sequence, it's okay.
Given where we are and what has transpired since then, it's clear that with hindsight, you will handle an issue like this with circumspect in such a manner that you don't create a problem for the institution that you are leading.
Well, thank you. That's a nice answer. Honorable Deputy Minister, suppose the Minister had shared his reasons for the directive with you, and those reasons that he had actually outlined in his directive, the reasons for the disbandment of the PKTT, would you have agreed with him as sufficient reasons to actually disband the PKTT?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, honourable members. Obviously, we will have had an engagement, and the minister will have had the opportunity to have another view that will have assisted to then lead to a situation where a letter is crafted, but in a manner that it addresses or it becomes a product of that particular engagement. Mind you, he did indicate here that he didn't use the opportunity of what is available for him from his legal advisor to the deputies that he have and the national commissioner. He wrote it and in his wisdom send it through to the national commissioner. And I believe if he has used what was available, it might have been differently formulated.
Well, thank you. In fact, I was asking that question in the context of your statement in paragraph 43 on page 16, where you say, and I quote, "I do not necessarily agree with the reasons for disbandment." Thank you. The last one, Honorable Chairperson, has to do with the Right Honorable Mathale. I just want to know whether
Honorable who?
Mathale, not honorable only, the Right Honorable Mathale. I actually would like to know whether the Deputy Minister has ever at any time been treated to the hospitality and the generosity of Mr. Mathale, like the former minister, Bheki Cele, who actually cannot close his mouth, and his, the way he was actually treated, and the hospitality that was actually afforded to him in Pretoria, in Mathale's residence. I'm just asking whether the Deputy Minister has not had any opportunity to actually also benefit from that, from Mathale's hospitality and generosity.
No. I guess because we don't know each other. Yeah, but no, I haven't.
Would you share the last one? Would you share with us why Mr. Mathale's tender was cancelled?
Yeah, this is a funny one.
If you know.
Well, there was a meeting which, unfortunately, I was given other tasks where this matter came, and they then agreed they must look into it, and ultimately the processes led to the cancellation of the tender. What the reasons and everything around that cancellation, I can't give the details. I don't have.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mngango. I must give you a standing ovation. It's a practice. Honorable Sols, your time starts now.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable.
Wait, Honorable Sols, other standing ovation for Honorable Mathale. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, may I please donate my time that remained to Honorable Sols?
Honorable Sols, your time starts now. Honorable Mngango has said it beforehand that he doesn't have many questions.
I think he's all.
There's a with the
This is
EFF,
how
Honorable Souls.
South Africans see you.
Oh.
Yeah. Maybe even worse outside. Yeah.
The caution to South Africans would have been, if you don't see me, just follow the teeth.
Yeah, but your teeth can't represent them. It's you who represent them here.
Deputy Minister, greetings to you in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Minister, the minister testified, Minister Mkunu, he testified that there is no IMC in the 7th administration. Is this true?
Yes.
So there is no IMC in the 7th
I'm not aware of any.
Former Minister Cassel said that as far as he's concerned, there is still an IMC and a new administration does not dissolve an IMC. You testified that in the 6th administration you attended at least 2 meetings of the IMC. Is former Minister Cassell's testimony true?
Well, what I know is that I haven't heard of an IMC meeting, so I take it that the 7th administration has not appointed people to serve in the IMC like the previous administration.
So you agree with you disagree with the testimony of former Minister Cassel?
I guess if that's how you interpret it, it means yes.
Deputy Minister, from the 30th September 2019, the words used whenever there is an application made or a request made by the PKTT for budget, etc., the words used formally is a request for extension. Now, does this mean that there was a clear understanding that it has reached its end date?
Well, I am not aware of the end date that was put, that it must exist from this period to that period.
So what is the reason for the words?
Can we take Honorable Nomval?
Yeah, no, thank you, Chair. On the IMC question, DM, you have responded, and your response says you don't agree with what Minister Cele said. Minister Cele's understanding is that the IMC continues to exist because even to the next administration, because it is not a team of ministers, but it is a team of ministries. Now, the narrative by the suspended minister, Minister Mkhunu, is that once the administration ends, then the IMC also lapses. So, and the result of which the PKTT, which is a product of the IMC, also ceases to exist. So that is his justification for disbanding for failing to convene the IMC. In his understanding, it has never existed beyond the administration under which it was formed. So those are the two contending statements that we have as the committee before us. Now, do you agree with the narrative that the IMC, when we go to another administration, ceases to exist?
It must be constituted. The president must constitute it, but it has not been constituted. Ministers who became ministers in their respective portfolios have not been designated that particular responsibility. But the workings of the task team continues. They are investigating. There are cases that they are working on them. The cases have not been wrapped up. They continue with the investigations, and they've been continuing to work.
So the task team, which is a product of the IMC, must continue even if the IMC is not there. That is your understanding?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Deputy Minister, so in your view, formally, when these requests are made, the terms request for extension, according to you, what does that mean when you read it?
Request of extension of what?
Yes, whenever the PKTT requests budget periodically, since the 30th of September 2019, all the evidence we've seen, the words they would use is a request for extension. So how would you understand that?
What do I understand that request for extension mean?
Yes, sir, in that context.
I don't know whether they are referring to the extension of their funding or what is the request for. But the task team exists and it is running operations. Obviously, if their budget is exhausted, they will request further funding, and I guess that's how it was done.
So your understanding is that it is only with reference to money, nothing else, not in terms of its existence, to say we've reached the end, we are now requesting for further extension, and this is the period of extension, and for this period of extension, we require X amount of money.
Yeah, I think it's an operational decision that the commissioner will take from time to time for them to continue to do their work. And I think that's what he did.
Minister, do you think that the PKTT should be disbanded?
Well, I have no objection with them folding their work and their work being taken by the murder and robbery unit.
Is there a yes?
Yeah.
you think they should be disbanded?
Yes.
Former Minister Mathale, but before I go there, you say in your testimony that you do not necessarily agree with the reasons for disbandment.
Yes.
So you agree that there should be disbandment,
Yeah.
but you don't necessarily agree with the reasons. So what is your reasons for the disbandment? What would your reasons be?
My reason is you strengthen the capacity to do investigation work around murder and robbery-related cases. And as you become effective and efficient, there is no need to put a task team to deal with murders because you are effectively dealing with that aspect.
And that now focuses on the country as a whole rather than
Absolutely.
a zoomed in approach.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Now, if you feel that the reasons you don't necessarily agree with that the minister used, do you then believe that the minister is protecting drug cartels?
No. No.
So now we have, you don't necessarily agree with the reasons,
Yeah.
and you disagree with the allegations that brought
Yeah.
us here,
Yeah.
that the minister has decided in that way because he's protecting drug cartels.
Yeah.
So if we rule out both of that, there must be something that motivated the minister. I am of the view that there is a third possibility, and this possibility is something that the minister is not telling us. What is your view?
I can't speculate because I don't know, except what is stated there as the reason.
DM, former Minister Mathale testified that when he considered that there are 23 special operatives from the military that has been contracted by Mr. Mathale, and he considered that General Mkonazi told him about 59 special task members that is also employed by taxi bosses, he's worried that the private security companies are being strengthened to the degree that they are more stronger and equipped than SAPs. Are you equally worried?
Of course, I am. We did discuss that with the former minister and agreed that we must do everything possible to retain special task force members because their training is a bit steep, it's expensive. So you must do everything possible to make sure that you retain them in the service of SAPs. They mustn't go and serve private interests. And it was about the task force, but also about other specialized forces, including your detectives. That's why we increased their allowances so that they must find comfort in doing work for SAPs.
DM, is there a separate army being built in KZN under the guise of private security companies?
I'm not aware of an army that is being built in KZN.
Ayo, Deputy Minister. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you so much, Honorable Sols. Honorable James, your time starts now. 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Chair. DM, earlier on you testified SAPS, this institution is intact. What is your understanding of the words intact?
the ability and the capability to execute your responsibilities that are assigned to you, fighting crime, doing policing in the country. I think we are doing exactly that. Of course, we can do more and better. But at the moment, the response that we are giving clearly demonstrate that we have got a police service. Yes, there are challenges. I acknowledge that as well.
All right. You said intact. South Africa has been waiting for 2 months for the crime stats. What is your response to that?
Well, it's unfortunate that we did not release the crime stats.
So that's definitely not intact. Am I right,
No,
DM? We cannot say we are intact when we've been waiting for 2 months. It keeps on being delayed for crime stats that needs to tell us where we're at as a country.
Well, that is not a reflection of the fact that we are not intact. It's just there were delays in signing off. That's it, and the changes that took place. But that is not a reason enough or an explanation that one can give that SAPS is not intact because of that.
And also, over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we've had 40 people murdered on the Cape Flats as a result of lack of resources and understanding and strategy. Is SAPS intact?
It is. The challenges of the Cape Flats, it's a serious concern to us. That's why we had an extensive discussion around how we are structured at SAPS and how best we can be structured so that we are able to respond to the challenges that our people in the Cape Flats are confronted with. One murder is one too many. We are worried, and we believe that the organogram that we have adopted will enable us to respond appropriately to the weaknesses that are there, and we will be able, working with our communities, to respond to the challenges that they are confronted with.
Minister, I think our understanding of the word intact is completely different, but I'm going to leave it there. I also want to know, you testified that you were shocked, that you were dissatisfied, that you saw in the media. Did you say or did you do anything about you being dissatisfied? Because it's either you are participating or you are a bystander.
I'm not a bystander in the ministry. I'm a participant. And we do interact with the minister and the national commissioner on things that affect or confront the police in the country.
Minister, you've also said you've made mention of PKTT. We've had former witnesses come and say that it was the PKTT was only budgeted and funded for operations within KZN. Was it a national PKTT as per Minister Mtunu, or was it just for the province?
Well, the genesis of the PKTT found its expression in KZN. And the work...
Sorry, Minister, I'm asking, you're saying it finds its expression in KZN.
Yes.
Was it funded, was the budget allocation only for KZN, or was it for national operations?
It's the last request came from the CFO nationally to finance what they are doing. Their work is not confined to KZN.
We know that, Minister. We're speaking specifically up to the budget, the operational budget, because I've asked these questions to several other witnesses, and no one's able to give us a direct answer.
I know that there was allocation which were approved by the CFO.
Yes, we know that all allocations are approved by the CFO, but I'm still asking, was this for KZN or was it for national operations?
For the PKTT.
I'm asking, was it for national, the budget allocation? Was it for national or was it for KZN? Because the minister insisted on the N. And when Minister Bheki Cele came, he said, no, he's not familiar, he's not aware of the N. So I'm asking you, that's been walking alongside Minister Bheki Cele for 5 years, was the N there or not? Was it national or not?
The funding.
Yes, the funding, was it for operations We know funding comes from national, but I'm asking the funding, the budget, the operational budget, was it for KZN or was it for national? And even if we have to spend the day asking this question, it's fine.
No, that's okay. The funding that they are given to do work where they are assigned.
Which is KZN.
No, they have been to the Eastern Cape, they've operated there. We have had problems in Mpumalanga. We have said they must also focus on Mpumalanga. In Gauteng, I mean, even the provincial commissioner did mention that they were assisting here in Gauteng. So they are not necessarily confined to work in KZN. Mind you, the head of the PKTT is General Kumalo, who is head of CI based in Pretoria.
It's really sad that everyone that has appeared before us is unable to answer that very simple question. Considering that you said to us that you partook in several meetings discussing, you knew the involvement about the formation, because usually on the cover page when we have a NAT joint operation, it would actually outline the budget. You and I know this, DM. And here today, because that budget would speak to accommodation, it would speak to vehicles, it would speak to, obviously you can't process a case and you can't attend a court case in Gauteng when you're on KZN. If you don't have a budget for it. And this is what I've been trying to determine. Was there a budget nationally? We know things that happens in all other provinces, but the budget allocation, was it for those members to work across provinces?
I mean, yes, they were doing work outside KZN also.
Minister, you know what? This morning I was asking myself, why are you here? But I want to thank you. I'm not going to be long and listen to my own voice. I want to thank you for coming, because I thought that we needed to focus on the big fish, you know, and just call you later on. But if anything, I appreciated your testimony today, because it has proven that we need to do away with ministers, deputy ministers. If anything that needs to be disbanded or disestablished, it's deputy ministers. Thank you, Chair.
Chair? Chair?
Chief Whip.
No, thanks, Chair. No, with due respect, I don't think that is appropriate for us or any of us to refer to those who came before us as big fishes or big fish. I don't know what's the right expression. And therefore insinuate that the witness who's before us today is a small fish. I don't think that is acceptable, Chair, because the reason we invited all witnesses, we never agreed on their weight. We agreed on witnesses. So now, when there's a big and a small fish, where was that decided?
Chief Whip, let me give the member a standing ovation for having been consistent with the time that has been the practice with all other members. And no, wait. I must forever remind you as members that when you invite a person to your house, you have a duty to hospitality. And when we are gathered like this, we are the leadership of this country. Any citizen of this country who is following us, who has intention to appear before us, if they happen to come here, when they leave, they must still leave this house with their integrity intact. They must feel more proud about being South African. Let's see. There are 3 members left. That is Honorable Ntuli, that is Honorable Skosana, and that is Honorable Kola Barnett. No, I'm reading the list. If she doesn't speak, she will come and say, I'm not speaking.
We're done. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So there are 2 members left. So we're going to take a 10 minutes break. We'll come back. Yeah. We will come back at we'll come back at 6:30. And I apologize for the delay, Chief Whip. You can just keep on jogging and jogging. You will come to the pitch, don't worry. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If we can proceed.
No, thanks, Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues, and good afternoon to the DM. No, I don't have many questions at DM. The first one is that when you were responding to one of the questions earlier on, if I understood you well, and you tell me if I did not understand you well, you indicated that you support, or you were going to support, the disbandment of the PKTT. I'm not sure if I missed it, but if I did, what could be your reasons for that? Is it the same reasons as advanced by the minister, or you've got different reasons, and what are those?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chief Whip, for that. Yeah, you understood me well. I didn't have a problem with the dissolution of the PKTT. In fact, I participated in the deliberations. Where I come from, it's that task teams are task teams. They are there to perform a particular function, and they are there because ordinarily through normal processes we are unable to perform certain functions. Hence the necessity to have this. You had endless killings in KZN which were not being resolved, and a team came that did a good job, comparatively speaking, with what was there. Now, with the discussions that we're having, we said let's restructure SAPS and strengthen it in all capacities so that we're able to respond to the challenges of the day. And one of the issues that we paid much focus on is murder. The murder rate is high in the country. The success rate is very low. Let's strengthen that capacity. Anything to do with murder, it must be dealt with by that unit. We have met of traditional leaders in the country, particularly in KZN, which has raised its ugly head in the recent past. I think Honorable Adams was talking about the number of people killed in the Cape Flats. It's a problem here in Cape Town. But it's not only a Cape Town problem. In Gauteng, it's the same problem. In Eastern Cape, it's the same problem in KZN. These are 4 provinces where we have problems. Now let's create capacity to deal with this problem in these provinces. And we can do so by creating this capability there and reorganizing SAPS so that you have got a division that deals with operational responses. Every day when they wake up is to ensure that there is policing, areas are stabilized, like your Cape Flats, your Nyanga, Kaelicha, Guguletu, Kebeha, and all other Precis Layer, Inanda, in KZN. So we were developing that capacity. It is in that context that one supported the integration of task teams into the relevant units within SAPS. And you are doing that not because these units are failing. You want to bring this excellence in the organization, and it becomes institutionalized in the organization. That is the reason on which we discussed, and we were talking integration of these units into that. That was the thinking and the reasoning that I have on this matter. Hence, I say I will support, but the reasons for that was not the same reasons that were written and displayed as the reasons. And I think it's the same reasons that guided us as we appeared before the committee as the department, both the ministry and the administration, where we talked of a phased-in approach on the PKTT.
No, thanks, GM. Now, we have come to understand through the testimonies of the various witnesses who came before us, one of the things that I would imagine or I believe is common, even when they differ on other aspects, is that part of the reasons why the PKTT became a success story is precisely because it was not just a SAPS, a board or a task team, but it was multidisciplinary task team
Yes.
involving various departments. Now, when you decide that you are doing away with it, you are strengthening yourselves internally. How are you going to mitigate the deficiencies that will arise naturally because you will no longer have the NPA on board in a dedicated approach as it was? You will no longer have, which one was it? I think it was correctional services on board in a way that they were. So what is the plan of mitigating what is naturally going to be a deficiency when this thing is made to be a SAPS issue alone?
Yeah. We have what we call JCPS cluster, which is a security cluster. And all the players in the PKTT are part of that. Our approach has been that we must strengthen the work of the cluster in such a manner that operationally, both at a political level and operationally, they work together, because crime permeates the cluster. You have crime that is exacerbated through drugs, for instance, which come from outside the country. They go through our ports of entry, they go through our borders. And border security is the responsibility of the defense. Border security control is the responsibility of BMA, which is Home Affairs. When they commit this crime, some of the players within the criminal world are residences of correctional services, and they plan and execute criminal activities from there. So it is a JCPS problem. But of course, a solution lies in the greater sphere of governance. Hence, we developed a document that is called Integrated Violent Prevention Strategy, which has been adopted by Cabinet in 2022, which talks to the whole of government approach to the fight against crime. Now, this approach and this understanding then led us to come to the conclusion that we must strengthen the work of the JCPS. We must work in collaboration with the relevant ministers to strengthen our ability to do work. When we say we're strengthening your murder and robbery, your detectives, we are not saying you strengthen them in isolation with the collaboration with the prosecution authority. The National Commissioner and the head of the prosecution authority works together. They sit together in the JCPS cluster. They must work together with the head of, with the commissioner of the correctional services. They must plan together and execute. Cases that are investigated, there must be dedicated capacity from prosecution that works with detectives, and we must strengthen that. We're going to overcome that shortcoming by ensuring that this works together, because we'll be drawing from that experience that we have had. We have seen the PKTT working. We have seen similar experiences working in DPCI, for example, and for sure this thing is for here. and the detectives, where they work together with prosecution, the cases become manageable and they become effective. I said earlier on that we had a project led by DM Jeffries and myself that dealt with the problems that were in the courts because of the problems of DNA, cases being withdrawn, cases being thrown out. When we collaborated there, it was us collaborating, but the operatives, those who are manning the forensic science laboratory, working together with the detectives and the prosecution, we will then line up cases and make sure that each case that is before court get prioritized until we stabilize the forensic laboratory space, which we did, and it was a successful project. I can confidently say here, Chair, that we don't have cases that get thrown out because of that problem we have dealt with. Challenges are still there, but we'll improve on them. So we were doing this with a full understanding of the need. What we have learned from the PKTT space, we must translate it into the new environment and continue in that regard without compromising that capability that we gained in the course of doing our work.
Thanks, DM. Do you have any recommendations that you may want to make to this ad hoc committee in relation to how the role or roles of the deputy ministers can be enhanced in the performance of their work? Do you have any suggestions? Because you've been a DM now for a few years, and certainly through that period, you've learned, you've experienced certain things. There are things that you might have liked, there are things you didn't like, but there may be things that you believe should be considered in order to strengthen the role of DMs in government. Do you have any suggestions that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I think in my submission there is page 6, item 9, 10, and 11 explicitly talks to that and what we think needs to be done with regard to that particular matter of deputy ministers, so that we don't have a situation where we have what currently is prevailing, and it appears like some members thinking that we enjoy what we are going through. We don't, and I think we can do better in this regard. I will not go into those submissions, but I think the Secretariat can pin those up as part of what one recommend should be taken into consideration, because indeed deputy ministers sometimes you find that it depends on who is the minister, and if you are not able to find a way to deal with that, there is a problem. But I must say that I was able to find a way that we could work. It's just that it's unfortunate that we are here and that matter was not yet finalized. But we're working very well with Minister Kunu, and I believe that we can do much better than what we have done currently. I think those are the two issues that the committee should look at, because it's very, very important. The Parliament have got a responsibility to oversee deputy ministers in terms of the constitution. And I think the constitution should be, we should revisit the constitution given where we have traveled for the past 8 years. We need to tweak that constitution to deal with what becomes a challenge. Like, you say, but why don't you have a deputy minister becoming acting? We must deal with that lacuna, because it's not in our interest to have a situation like that where there is no clarity on what must happen, and then we create a problem for ourselves. Yes, they passed the constitution in 1994, and they didn't envisage that we'll have something like this. But in the course of doing work, you learn that, you must also plan for things like this. And it's better if you go within to these people can perform these responsibilities. Of course, it doesn't mean that when you are given this responsibility, you are then going to become a minister. No, you can continue acting on that space while you remain a deputy minister. And when things are cleared, the minister come back, you move on without a problem. I think it will be better if we have something done about that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. That was my last question.
Oh, you deserve it, Chief. Thank you so much. What is that, Honorable Mathale?
On a point of clarity, it's a follow-up question. I haven't had a follow-up question since I've been here. Am I allowed? You are allowed. Thank you. Am I allowed, Chair?
Yes, Honorable Mathale.
DM, I think the bigger question here is that, is there a need for deputy ministers? Yeah. And then speak to that, and then we can understand the process and to take that into account.
Yeah.
But for the majority of South Africans, we don't know, because a lot of our money just goes and deputy ministers are wandering around. So tell us, what role exactly are deputy ministers going to play outside that they should be able to step in as acting ministers if the need arises? Thank you.
No, thank you, Chair, and thanks for the question. I think the deputy ministers have a role to play. It was seen then in '94 when the constitution was crafted that the president will appoint deputy ministers, and they will account to Parliament, and they will be given responsibilities to function. We can say maybe the Constitution is not explicit enough in terms of what they need to do, but a role to play they have. If you look at the ministry that we are talking about, as I said earlier, it's a ministry that is composed of almost 4 departments. And each of them very complex, very difficult to deal with. You need an extra hand. It's necessary to have deputy ministers, Honourable. I'm convinced about that. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Mathale.
No, I just want to confirm that in the current framework, Minister, at DM, in the current framework of deputy ministers, the performance agreement is the only instrument that you can use to assess the performance of ministers, correct?
Yeah.
So it means currently there is nothing, or there is no authority or instrument that is in place that is being used to assess your performance.
Absolutely, because you need that agreement so that you can then take steps necessary against non-performance by anyone after they've been assigned responsibilities.
Okay, lastly, Chair, when you are responding to the Chief Whip of the ANC, you kept on saying you have a good working relationship with the suspended minister, Minister Mchunu. So against which working instrument do you make that determination? Because there is absolutely no framework that creates a synergy between you, between yourself and him. So is it based on feelings or is based on the performance of your performance as a deputy minister and how he supports the work that he established for you in a performance agreement? So where do you base that?
Thank you, Honorable Member, and thanks, Chair. Why do I say I have a good relationship with him? It's a relationship that I've had with him long before he became a minister. And he came in the space we worked together. The absence of the delegated authority that does not mean the relationship that I have with him is non-existent. It does exist, and I'm referring to that. And obviously, once delegations are given, you can then the issues that you are raising can also come into effect. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honorable Skosana.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, DM.
Afternoon.
Honorable Deputy Minister Mathale.
Afternoon.
I know that some people feel that we've been embellished in a way in the matter of PKTT. And indeed, we had to, if you remember that the term of reference in this matter focused mostly on the PKTT.
Yeah.
Now, in your view, do you think that there's any renaissance, of the PKTT?
There is any?
Renaissance, the revival.
Oh.
That we can as well. Because when I hear you earlier, you were saying that perhaps the winding up, it's a good thing. In my view, I don't think it's a good thing. I want to find, out from you whether this PKTT, in fact, because as you know, there's other provinces, there's an outcry in other provinces as well that perhaps they needed to be attended to.
Well, I hear you. Thank you, Chair. I hear you, Honorable Member, and I have no problem with the questions that were asked around this, and you asking the same question in a different way. That's why we are here. I think you'll agree with me, Honorable Member, that if we increase our efficiency and our effectiveness in dealing with murder in the country, and we become effective, if you kill somebody, you get arrested, you get convicted, and throughout the country, there won't be any need for us to talk of a task team because we will not be having a problem. A problem arises when you have matters that are not resolved. And I think that's what we want to deal with. We want to create the institutional capacity in SAPS to be able to deal with any eventuality that our people are confronted with. If you commit crime, you will be arrested. If you kill, you will be arrested and you will be convicted.
In your view, what was the incumbency, hindrance, in other words, why you and the deputy minister were not delegated powers as is required by the Constitution, that the minister has to give you, he must delegate powers to you?
Well, I felt very strongly that we must engage with the minister and assist them to fully grasp the complexities of the institution that we are dealing with, so that when he ultimately say let's delegate responsibilities to this DM and that DM. These are the responsibilities we are delegating to. He is fully alive to what he's dealing with. And I think this is what delayed the whole process. And I'm confident, sitting here before you, Chair, and members, that I think the minister, currently as we speak, he has a fair grasp. He might not be 100% perfect about the workings of the institution, but he has a fair grasp of what needs to be done. And if he is back in office by the end of this week, he will be able to deal with this, which has been outstanding.
I just want to make a follow-up question as well. I'm not going to go back to the issue that you were appointed in July 2024, which means you're almost over a year working with the minister.
Yeah.
You know, I ask this because in a witness statement, you indicated that Minister Mkuno did not consult you or Deputy Minister Mushielo before deciding on the disbandment of the PKTT. But as you know now, that the PKTT formation was not only about the Minister of Police. There were ministries, like my colleague has articulated earlier. In your discussions, if you ever discussed with the minister, did he mention that he's not alone, so he can't take a decision alone on this matter? And did you perhaps as well discuss with the national commissioner, in your meeting with the national commissioner, the minister, and your other colleague, about this matter of disbandment, besides the letters of the 31st, you know, as earlier before that?
Thank you, and thank you, Chair. We have had engagements, and that's why when you look at the presentation that we made to the committee that talks to the PKTT and how it must fold its operations, we presented a phased-in approach. And this approach was not necessarily presented by the National Commissioner. We were led by the Minister. So Team SAPS was presenting that. And that is our view as far as that is concerned.
You reveal in your statement something very concerning, that you said since the take-up of your role under Minister Mkuno, you have not been assigned to any specific functions and have been working on some sort of ad hoc. But in other words, you work like you are moonlighting. You know, in a simple term, let me put it like that. What do you think is the reason for this? Because surely it cannot be administratively or operational sound that for a year you are still waiting for the minister to delegate powers to you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honourable Member. And unfortunately, we don't have delegated authority, and I've explained why I think that is the case. And the reason being that the minister was familiarizing himself, and I think I can't say now as we speak, he's still familiarizing himself. That's why I'm saying if he comes into office tomorrow, he will be able to start processes to finalize this, because he's fairly clued up with the happenings of SAPS.
Were you forlorn on that? Were you forlorn on that? Were you unhappy about that yourself and your minister?
That we have not delegated authority?
Yes.
Of course, I was not comfortable that I don't have... No. Yeah, so yeah, it's not a good thing. Like I sit here, I say I've not delegated functions, but I understand where the minister comes from. He must understand so that he know what he's doing when he delegates. You can't just delegate without fully grasping the dynamics in the space.
Would you agree that perhaps it was a lack of